congregation, but hey, I feel right at home. You know, the last time I was here, anybody remember, it was, I think around maybe 5 years ago. My hearing was still good. I was running marathons and doing Ironman competitions, but you turn 70, you get over that hump, and it's a whole new world out there. But no matter what has happened to me in my life, I've never felt like I wasn't receiving just more and more than I could possibly ever imagine. And that's what's been happening on this trip out to Wyoming. My wife, Jody, back there, we left Lodi, Wisconsin, which is the town where we live, just a little north of Madison, Wisconsin. You know, that place with 250,000 people surrounded by reality, right? People have heard of us. And we spent the first night in Mitchell, South Dakota. We spent the second night in Rapid City, South Dakota. And then the third night in Gillette, Wyoming, and the fourth night in Bill. There's a motel there, can you believe? And the reason that it took us all that time to get to Casper was that we were on a birding trip during the whole time. So we would go into these grasslands, which everybody feels, everybody that doesn't know anything about birds looks at it and goes, it's nothing, there's nothing there. It is blessed with what God wants us to see. Yesterday when we got up from Bill, we drove down along Route 25 and got to Glen Rock, and there's an app for your phone called eBird, and you can type in the county, condos, and then you can look at what people have seen and where they've seen it. And so we went up in this place called Mormon Canyon Road. It was fabulous. And I got to see a bird that I had never seen before, a Plumulus vireo. My first in my whole, life listers they're really important when you get to be near the end you're coming to the end of your life and you want to kind of grab a few more before you move on. And it was just so blessed. And yet, in the midst of all of this blessing, all this life that's out there just chirping and flying around and just, there's a world out there that feels like it's going crazy. And it's frightening. And it makes me anxious. And it's not just me. It's lots of people. I have 2 grown adult sons. And each of them has some anxieties, sometimes greater, sometimes lesser. And it's like, what is happening to us? That you can't just get up in the morning and go to work and make a living and care for your family and go bird watching without noticing that, gee, the rest of the world there's a lot of confusion and making us anxious about what's going on. And so that's what I heard today in the gospel. I heard Jesus telling me, do not be afraid, little flock. But that's what I feel like. When we drive along the dirt roads of these national grasslands, there's birds all along, but as soon as the car comes along, they fly out into the sage and the grass, and you have to hopefully wait for them to come back. So that's what I think many of us feel like. Something is coming down the road, and we want to flee, get away, fly away. I know the flock is really, it's a metaphor about the sheep, right? But I was thinking, no, it's also like a flock is a flock of birds, which is what sometimes our hearts kind of feel like they're beating, because it's what is going on with this world. And here's Jesus reminding us, or suggesting, or saying to us, don't be afraid, right? That's what he's saying. Isn't it easy for the Son of God to say, don't be afraid? He's got the whole thing wrapped up. But here we are. Still, we don't get to know from God's point of view what the heck is really going on. We're sort of struggling and trying to figure it out. Learn to do good. Seek justice. Rescue the oppressed. Defend the orphan. Plead for the widow. How many of you really wanted to hear that this morning? It's like, oh, but I have my other things to worry about. And yet, here it is, reminding us not to be afraid and to look at people who really are suffering. Because as worried as I am about my own two children, they're not going to starve to death. They will endure, because that's who we are. And even though they feel anxious, and maybe sometimes they have to take a little medication to kind of ease up on the anxiety, it's manageable. They can work. But when you're suffering, I think you remember, I was a hospital chaplain for 25 years. And so I had a few moments, thousands of moments, where I got to be up close with people who are suffering, who cannot, it's not like you can just go, oh, I'm out of here. It's with them. And that's what the orphan and the widow, in places that we would never go, because they're even more frightening than Baltimore. Okay? They're more frightening than we can imagine. I'm going to tell you two stories. Well, I'm going to tell you one story because it's hot. I can see people fanning themselves. Let's get back out into whatever we're going to do today and get the air conditioning on. I was joking with the choir, hey, why don't you get to wear one of these things and sweat up here with the rest of us in white. I'm going to just tell you one story. A couple of years ago, last year, I was in Honduras. And we went to an orphanage for children who were abused and in danger and assaulted by people in their own family. And they were in danger. And they had suffered. And these children were rescued from those situations. A lot of them from really poor people, but people who they just didn't know any different, didn't know better. And so these children were in this orphanage. Their parents are still alive somewhere, so they're not technically orphans, but they're orphans. There's no one except those sisters in that orphanage to protect them. And when we got to the orphanage, when I go on these trips to Guatemala or Honduras or El Salvador, Haiti, Jamaica, I always go with 5 or 6 other 10 clergy speakers like me. We go to see what Food for the Poor is doing and they never tell me what, can you tell? No one tells me what to say in my sermon from Food for the Poor. They just say, look, preach the gospel and tell about what we do, however you do it. We don't have a specific message. So we get to this orphanage, and it's run by this small group of religious sisters, and there's a meeting room that's probably this big, and there's like 40 kids in there, and 8 or 9 old clergy like me. And the sister says to the children that the fathers are going to wash your feet. And I thought, oh, please. That's what adults do on Holy Thursday, right? Or maybe you don't do it here, but in many of the churches that I've been to, Holy Thursday is when you wash the feet of the disciples. But as soon as she said it, all the children went nuts. They were just so happy and so excited, and they sat down in this big circle of white plastic chairs and took their shoes off and their little tiny this little piggy toes. They were just adorable. These children were just so alive and adorable. And what I realized was, and got out of my grumpy curmudgeon, oh, what are we doing this for? I gotta get down on my arthritic knees. What we're doing is, these children aren't stupid. They look at these white men, and they know we're from the United States of America. And in their imagination, and it ain't that far off, they believe we have everything. And come on, compared to them, we do. And so here we are, who has everything, going to get down on our knees and wash these little poor children's feet. And so I realized, all right, get down. And it was just so beautiful. And I got to the next child that I washed the feet, only it wasn't a child's foot. It seemed like I suddenly was holding a woman's foot in my hand, a wet woman's foot. It was kind of a little freaky for me. And I looked up, and here's this 12-year-old girl looking at me, and her face is like this golden, glowing beauty. And I started to cry because all I could think of was, as I'm looking at this child, is that she is right on the cusp. She's going to become a woman. And she's going to go out of the door of that orphanage back into a world in which she will not count for anything. She will not be able to decide hardly anything. That's what Food for the Poor is trying to do, is to look and find people, children, women, old men, cripples, the people that we're being asked to go after, and to give them the opportunity to become something that we often take for granted, that we have choices and that they don't. And so I finished washing her feet and dried them off, and she lives with me now. Her name is Reverand, and she comes with me to church now every Sunday, and I look out at people and go, will this group of human beings, will these Christians, will they be able to see what I saw, and how important it is for them to know that there are people in a country that they believe has everything, including love for them. Including love for them. So that's why I'm here today. And you got to be ready, right? I don't want to. It's not like next week. Let's think about it. It's like, no, be ready, because you don't know when Christ is going to come. And when I was down on my knees and I looked up at that golden face, I saw Jesus. That's who I saw. And it's not like, oh, that's magic. And that is what he's talking about. He's giving us the kingdom. And the kingdom includes those children. Those children. Okay. So now I'm going to wrap it up. Oh, here's the Food for the Poor brochure. It's in your worship bulletin. If you have been a donor in the past, forget it. It doesn't count anymore. You have to become another donor right now. And if you're prone to breaking God's 11th commandment, which is a big one, thou shalt not procrastinate. Remember that? If you're a procrastinator, take one of these out, open it up, see that it's an envelope, tear it off, put something in the envelope, and give it to me when you're going out to church, or when I'm coming for coffee, and I'm coming for you. So, please, Giselle, something for her, or something for someone. So, this is the wrap up now, in case you got lost and wondered, what the heck is he doing up there? Well, I've been doing this 22 years, over 750